Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is the second generation Omega Seamster 1200M, but everyone calls it by its nickname, the Ploprof. Of course, revived in 2009, the modern-day Seamster 1200M, based on the 1970s Seamster 600 Plongeur Professionnel, or Ploprof. The modern-day watch has all of the toys, from a deep diving depth to a helium escape valve, bimetallic construction, a bracelet with 2 clasp extensions, and a coaxial master chronometer movement. The first of the 1200M Seamasters came out in 2009. In 2015, this variant and this generation was released, now with a master chronometer movement, a no-date dial, and a display case back, plus a combination of Sedna red gold and grade 5 titanium. So we'll throw this watch on the wrist and talk about its size. It is big, but it's probably not big the way you imagine. You may have heard that this watch is 55 millimeters, and it is. But from here to here, it's long down the wrist, not across. It's actually 48 millimeters from side to side. And look at that from overhead. Now look at that down the barrel. It's actually not out over the edge of my wrist, but it is thick. In profile, you can see 18.6 millimeters, so it won't fit under a cuff. And while this may seem like a very proprietary bracelet case junction, it's actually anything but. That is a conventional 24 millimeter spaced lug, so any 24 millimeter spring bar strap will work on this watch. The timepiece is neither light nor heavy, though it's probably closer to heavy than you would imagine. It's, yes, largely titanium, but full bracelet, full clasp, with some gold parts. I measure it at just over 190 grams. It's 190.48 grams as you see it here. I'd actually recommend it for my wrist size or larger, not because it's proportional, it's not, but because for a Ploprof, this is actually fine. Big is the style, a bit like Panerai, a bit like a Royal Oak Offshore, a bit like a Portugieser or an Hublot. So now taking a look at the bracelet, it's an interesting piece. This is nicknamed the Sharkproof bracelet, so at least a small sliver of your wrist will be protected. I can't speak to the rest of your body. Probably not shark-proof. Probably shark bait. But your watch will be fine. Taking a look at the bracelet, it's almost like a fabric made of chainmail. It is very flexible. You can see just how well it vents the wrist so it doesn't trap moisture heat. You can see in profile, the way they make these is they start with big sheets of these links, then they cut them to shape, then they machine them to remove the burrs. We have a clasp here. It's probably the most capable Omega offers, and it's a twin trigger release, and you have to press both for it to open, and it's thick gauge grade 5 tie in here. Two things going on, one of which is a slider system. So you've got the slider, you can see the rack and the push button that allows me to move it out. And then we've got a fold out all or nothing extension. Now in the past, I just eyeballed this and said, well, it's probably 50 millimeters or 2 inches. For those of you in the old colonies like me. Well, with careful observation and research, I've determined via some measuring that this is actually going to be 48 millimeters of total extension. So I was pretty close, but the slider is good for 22 millimeters of adjustment, and then the all or nothing fold out for use over a dive suit, that's going to be 26 millimeters. I would also say, if, like me, you hate to swim, you may still find use for this. First, the slider gives you the ability to adjust size, and then the all or nothing might actually help you wear this over a thick winter sweater or a thick coat while operating the snowblower. It is grade 5 titanium, which is hypoallergenic like grade 2, but also more scratch resistant than grade 2 in most conventional watchmaking steels. We've got a combination here of brushed satin and a few polished accents. The way the crown operates here is very similar to the original, where you screw it out and you can see that there are these 2 sliding pillars on the side, and the crown has a combination of media blast and polish. You can activate hacking seconds and stop the timekeeping and move everything in sync to synchronize to a reference time, or you can put it in its time zone mode where it continues ticking, and now you can change your time zone as you travel. So that's very handy. This crown guard, a little bit like the one on Panerai Luminor, answers the question of how you build a more protective crown guard structure, and a perpendicular hit has always been the weakness of a conventional shouldered crown guard like you'll find on a Seamaster or Speedmaster. A shouldered crown guard is not going to protect you from that perpendicular hit, but the Ploprof crown, just like the Panerai crown, will. It'll also protect you against shearing. Taking a look at the profile, we have a similar system to the original Ploprof, where you push down this plunger and then it unlocks a bidirectional rotating bezel. And you might think bidirectional, that's not a dive bezel, but it's fine as long as it can be secured against inadvertent motion. And once the plunger rises back up, that's exactly what happens. You can see the plunger includes a combination of titanium and rose gold. The bezel features Sedna red gold. It's ultra red by virtue of its high copper content, and then it has inert platinum family metals added to it to make sure it'll never fade, a bit like Rolex's Everrose. And in terms of how many clicks is the bezel, let's find out. I suspect it's a lower click count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. It is a 60 click bezel, but they're chunky clicks, a bit like a Panerai sub or a Doxa. Taking a look at the bezel insert now, we'll do a quick loom shot so you can get a sense of everything. You can see it is a fully calibrated diving bezel, which means not only can you see where the bezel pearl is, but you can read every individual minute. The bezel pearl and the minute hand are green, so you can quickly read them relative to each other and tell them apart from every other feature of the dial because they are the critical reference points. You can also see that the seconds hand is luminescent, so you know if your dive timer is running, if you're diving deep below ambient light or you're diving at night. That's important. Not every dive watch does that, but they should. The dial features an upscale blue lacquer effect. A lot of recent Omega dials have been ceramic. This one is not. It has a nice glossy sheen to it. You can also see that we have rose gold applique indices for an upscale look. Applique Omega logo and marquee. We have big rose gold hands, easy to read, high contrast. No date. The 2009 to 2014 version of this watch did have a date. This one doesn't. You can also see it is a coaxial master chronometer, rated to 1,200 meters, which is not exactly 4,000 feet. Press the I believe button, because this is an ISO 6425 diver. It will have been tested to 125% of that 4,000 feet or 1,200 meters. So rest assured you are getting a true 1,200 meters of water resistance. With ISO, a lot of the tests can be performed on a homologation model that stands in for all the production watches, but the water resistance test, in order to be ISO certified as a diver, must be applied to every individual watch. Now there's also the master chronometer test, which is related but separate. So master chronometer is a fully assembled test of a watch. COSC, which this meets, is a bare movement test, but as a fully assembled watch, this has to be tested for chronometry to no worse than -0 + 5 seconds per 24 hours, anti-magnetism to over 15,000 Gauss. That's a minimum, not a maximum. It has to be tested for winding efficiency and power reserve at the rated 60 hours, for durability and water resistance, and all those things come together in a chronometer standard created by Omega with the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, or METAS. So you often see METAS associated with master chronometer. That's why. See Omega Ceragold, what's that? That is the bonding of gold, and these are actual pieces of gold, but bonding it to the ceramic so they'll never separate. So this is actually co-molded ceramic, enamel infill, and then we have the gold that's been bonded to it. Taking a look at the case back, you can see the movements now visible on the second generation 1200 meter. Bidirectional automatic winding, twin barrel, 60-hour power reserve, 25,200 vibration per hour beat rate. It has a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for shock resistance. It is a 38 joule movement. It has a tri-level coaxial escapement, which uses tangential friction rather than the sliding friction of a conventional Swiss lever. Tangential is less, which is why British watchmaker George Daniels developed this system and why Omega licensed it from him. Tangential friction is less than sliding. That is the whole premise of the coaxial escapement. You can also see that although it's machine decorated, it's handsomely so, with spiral arabesque Côte de Genève, bevels, polished and blackened screws with some engine turning on the base plate. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.